Hey guys, welcome back to more Karen stories. In this video, a Tyrant police officer confiscated my dangerous white cane. I have this cane because I am blind, but he claims it is a weapon. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. And the title story starts like this. So I am blind, and one common misconception is that we cannot be totally self-sufficient. With the use of equipment, and especially for me, modern technology, it is very possible. Just for example, in this moment I'm typing this story using a braille keyboard and a computer function where I can navigate using audio. The main thing I use to get by in my life though is the tried and true method of a cane. With one of these bad boys I can navigate the city without hitting into things or people. I've never had a problem with another human being giving me crap about being blind. Even though I know that I may have hit a few people with my cane by mistake in the foot. If people were staring at me, I would not even know. I was going to a concert being held in one of the parks in my city. With all big events here, it can get crowded and there is a big presence of security and real police. I was not even at the park yet, but I got stopped by a police officer. I can see light and kind of blurry blobs depending on the time of day. I knew it was a person, but I had to be told when I questioned who stopped me that it actually was a police officer. She was a total Karen, so let's do that for her name. Karen, where are you headed? Me, to the concert at the park. Karen, I can't let you go there with that weapon. Me, what weapon? Karen, the one you're holding. Me, my cane? Karen, who knows what you could be hiding in there, or using it as a weapon in a public place. Me, I cannot really get around without it. Most blind people cannot. Karen, you're not blind. Blind people have a dog or somebody with them. Plus, you're not wearing sunglasses. Give me that. Ah yes, the big stereotypes were all coming out to play with this Karen, but I couldn't be sassy because she had just confiscated my cane and I was basically stuck standing there with no idea what to do. Telling her that I could show my medical ID that says I was blind as proof, but her refusing to allow me to go into my pockets. Other people started to gather around to see what was going on, and I knew this because some started to talk to me, asking me if I was okay and telling them that she stole my white cane. And I could not get around without it. One man told me that he was gonna use his phone to record if I was okay with it, since this Karen police officer was clearly not following the law. I agreed and also asked if he could manage to get her name or badge number for me as well. Me, can I speak to your supervisor or something? You cannot just take a blind person's cane away. Karen, this thing is a weapon and it needs to be confiscated. You can get it back after it's fully searched and x-rayed to check for dangerous items. Me, I needed to get home. There are laws that protect disabled people from having things like this happen. Me, I know what the ADA says about blind people because I have to know it. I spent my whole life needing to know every single word it says, so I know for a fact that you cannot do this. So call in your supervisor. Karen, if you don't stop drawing a crowd and making demands, I will place you under arrest for being a threat to public safety. I had to bite my tongue because I wanted to tell her that I would have loved to be arrested and put in front of a judge to tell what really happened here. I did not really want to get arrested though, so I kept my mouth shut. The man from before and another woman both told me that they had everything on video and would personally testify to what Karen did to me. That I could file a formal report against Karen if I wanted to just step away now. If not, they told me they would call anybody I wanted if I was gonna get arrested and needed bail. Very nice people who I want to once again point out were total strangers. They were just on the street passing by, the same as I was trying to. I let Officer Karen leave with my cane and allowed the two bystanders to help me get home. They gave me their contact info and texted me all the videos they took, along with the badge number and name of Karen. The good news for me is that it was not my only cane, so I was not totally screwed. The bad news is I really wanted to go to that park concert. Instead, I was busy filing an official complaint. Knowing the modern state of police, I wanted to do something extra to make sure my voice was heard. So I contacted a lawyer who would give an extra nudge to my complaint and make sure that it actually went through. After 2 days, I was in a room with Officer Karen, my lawyer, and the police chief, and probably some other people that didn't do or say anything. Karen at first started to speak again, claiming that she had reason to believe that I was faking being blind. Using her same reasons as before that held zero weight, especially when there was the footage of me trying to give her proof and her refusing it. She argued again, saying that a blind person shouldn't be out on their own, and it was still my fault. My lawyer was quick to step in, saying that the ADA protected me from discrimination based on my disability. And yes, that extended to even police officers. The chief was very apologetic, but I didn't want to hear it from him. He was not the one who caused me stress and embarrassment that day. Karen also gave an apology that did not really seem like she meant it. They wanted to think an apology and returning my property would be enough. Well, for me it wasn't, and my lawyer told them that if no action against Karen was taken, then we would be taking this to the courts and to the papers. Those seemed to be the magic words to get anything done, because all of a sudden, Karen's behavior was unacceptable and not a representation of the department. Officer Karen was getting a suspension and would be using her time off to get some training when it came to dealing with disabled individuals. I know I would wanted to see her fired, but getting a cop fired is very hard unless they do something even bigger. The department did offer me a little bit of a compensation for the distress I was caused and the inconvenience. I really think it was more of a please don't sue us type thing. It was still nice to have though. It's just funny to me that I spent 27 years blind my entire life and never had an issue with somebody messing with me. Not even when I was a kid in school. But suddenly I get messed with, and it happens to be a police officer of all people. I'm glad for the random strangers willing to step in when they saw what was happening, instead of deciding it was not their business and kept walking. And the next one is titled, "If a police officer stops you for no reason, do you have to acknowledge him?" So I was out on my usual timed 4-mile run when I saw bright cop lights from the end of the street I was on, 0.7 miles away. As I got closer, I saw that there were 3 cops, all with their lights strobing. And by the way, the cop lights in my city are exceptionally well lit and hurt my eyes every time I see them. I turn at the street corner, continuing down my normal route as I call the road to them. This is at 11:30 at night, by the way. Those lights are disturbing people, you know? And a couple of seconds later, "So turn them off maybe." One officer yelled to me, "Quit yelling!" And I just continued on my way. A couple blocks down the road, an officer rolls up and shines his spotlight on me. He opens his door and I said to him, "I haven't done anything wrong, I have not broken any laws, I don't have to stop." So I continued my jog. I'd been running for over 2 miles non-stop, I'm not gonna quit now. For some reason, the officer got out to pursue me on foot. After about 20 yards or so, I stopped, he caught up, grabbed me and put me in handcuffs, saying, "You're going to jail." I was charged with evading arrest and spent the night in jail. What the hell? Did I actually evade arrest, or I am not at fault here? The bond costed $1,000, of which I had to pay $165 to go home the next day. Is there a way I can make all of this go away? I really don't want evading arrest on my record. And get a refund for the cost of the bond? Update to the story, it's been 16 days since my arrest and I still got no court date. The lawyers seem to be too expensive for me and not as confident as I would hope. I think I'm gonna apply for indignant counsel. Thoughts on this? Update number 2, I was arrested December 21st, it's now February 7th. I still have no court date. And now another update to the story. Here is the newly acquired police report. On the reported date and time, Officer Garrett 391 responded to the 900 BLK of SW Hillside DR at the request of Officer Pilgrim 384. Pilgrim 384 was conducting an investigation in the 700 BLK of SW Hillside and he advised the W/M wearing sweatpants and glasses ran through their investigation and yelled at them. The W/M was advised to stop disturbing the peace and move along, at which he yelled at them again before running off. The Officer Pilgrim requested Officer Garrett to stop the subject and identify him. The subject was located in the 900 BLK of SW Hillside. Dr. Officer Garrett 391 positioned his patrol vehicle in front of him and placed the spotlight on the subject. The officer then exited the patrol vehicle and said, "Police, stop." The subject said no and kept running. Officer Garrett 391 chased after the suspect on foot for approximately 30 yards before catching him. While running, the officer gave commands for the suspect to stop approximately 4 more times. Each time a command was given, the subject acknowledged with some statement about he did not have to do this because he had not broken a law. The subject refused to give the officer his name and birthday until they were at the Burleson jail. At that point, he was identified as Alex, aka me, aka OP. Useful info in another court case titled Florida vs. Royer or Rower, I'm not sure. The person approached, however, need not answer any questions put to him. Indeed, he may decline to listen to the questions at all and may go on his way. He may not be detained even momentarily without reasonable objective grounds for doing so, and his refusal to listen or answer does not without more furnish those grounds. Update number 4, I went to court this morning with my lawyer and my case was dismissed with hardly a glance at it. Everything went great. Thanks for all the advice and motivating words. If I ever need help again, I know where to come. And yeah, ripe stars, if you've enjoyed this story so far about corrupt cops, then please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you really want to help me with the algorithm, then please don't forget to comment as well. Thank you so much, and the next one is titled Girlfriend snitched on me to the cops. So first I would like to start with some background. My girlfriend and I have been in a relationship for a bit over a year. She stays at my house about 75% of the time. We've had no major problems before this point. On Saturday night though, we were watching TV in the living room and suddenly there was loud pounding and shouting at the front door. My immediate reaction was to call the police, but after a look out the curtains I found that it actually was the police. At this point, I was extremely confused. I don't sell, manufacture or use drugs, I have no firearms in the house, I do nothing illegal online, I don't even pirate Game of Thrones. I had no idea why they might have a reason to be knocking on my door on a Saturday night. I opened the door and they immediately asked for permission to search the premises. I asked why they would think that was necessary and they would not answer. In turn, I refused to give them permission. My girlfriend repeatedly said I should cooperate. I said no and told them to show me a warrant if they want to enter the house. They then informed me that they had no probable cause and were searching my place no matter what I thought about the situation, and that their asking was only a formality. By the way, ripe stars, that seems like Tyrant cops to me. Anyway, the first thing they did after entering my house was pull my girlfriend and I into separate rooms and begin questioning us. I kept demanding that they show me a warrant, but apparently warrants are not even a thing anymore, because probable cause can be literally anything when your local PD is backwater and crappy enough. I refused to answer any questions and I told them I wanted a lawyer if I was under arrest. I repeated that I did not consent to any searches of my property and repeatedly asked what their probable cause was, that there was nothing readily apparent, thank you Breaking Bad, and that they had no right to strip me of my privacy. My girlfriend, on the other hand, talked a lot. I didn't hear much because she was in the next room, but I overheard her say this: "You should check the backyard chat. I've never been in there before and I cannot say what's in it." At the time I could only think, what the hell is she doing? Well, the police checked the shed and found nothing. Again, I'm not a criminal. And an hour plus hundreds of questions later, left. At that point, I asked why in the world she would try to help them find criminal activity in my home, and she could only answer that she panicked and didn't know what to do. I don't need legal advice, my mother is a paralegal and knows a lot of good attorneys. However, she is furious about the police conduct and she does not even know what my girlfriend said to them yet. I'm incredibly angry at my girlfriend for saying something so unbelievably moronic, but all she can respond to me with is, "I panicked and didn't know what to do." What I need more than anything is another perspective on why a person would throw their SO under the bus like that. Does this seem like something that can be worked through, or is this just a huge red flag? And yeah, ripe stars, let me know what you think about this situation in the comments, but I would say the police certainly did not act in a lawful manner, at least for the United States. Maybe in other countries this would have been allowed, but honestly, I'm not aware of any democratic country where something like this would fly. The police acted like absolute tyrants and the girlfriend acted totally stupid. Honestly, I would not be together with that person anymore after she tried to throw me under the bus in front of the police like that, especially when I did nothing wrong. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments. Now we got an update to the story and it reads like this. Due to legal reasons and other life obligations, I decided against updating my opening post until it was safe to do so. I got a lot of incredibly useful information and advice from it, and for that I'm truly grateful. I'll link that post below, but in lieu of the new rules, I've created a new account for this update. I'll respond to this with my old one just to verify my identity. Number 1, my girlfriend and I aged a year. I'm now 30 and she is now 25. This was about as much as could be expected. Number 2, the tip that the police received did not come from my girlfriend. This was a giant cluster truck. About a year before I met my current girlfriend, I was kind of seeing a 35-year-old woman. Our relationship was primarily physical in nature, but she wanted me to drop everything and move in with her. Just about everyone I knew was telling me that there was something off about her, but I thought they were just judging her for her age. But then one night, when we had a fight, she jerked half a bottle of cognac and I had to call an ambulance because she was completely unresponsive. I ghosted her after this and had to ignore her pounding on my door several times. I went to the police station about a week after they raided me to file a formal complaint. I had consulted a lawyer and he advised me that it would be a good first step if I were going to take legal action. When I filed the complaint, I tried to get information on who falsely accused me of a crime that warranted a raid without a warrant, but they would not budge. And by the way, Ripe Stars, just to quickly interject here, I'm curious, in the US, if someone gives an anonymous tip to the police that I am manufacturing, I don't know, nuclear weapons or something in my basement, would that warrant a raid without a warrant? I thought for the police, in order to raid you legally, they always need a warrant. But maybe I'm wrong here. Anyway, my lawyer told me as much. 6 months after the raid, I heard through the grapevine that my ex-FWB/GF called the police to inform them that I was cooking crystal meth in my basement. I only learned about this because a mutual friend who my ex had recently confided in spilled the beans. I figured out soon thereafter that she had seen me with my current girlfriend somewhere and decided I must have been cheating on her when we were still together a year earlier. And she exacted her revenge by getting me swatted. I went to the police station to file a report against her, but the person at the front desk essentially laughed me out of the building. When I consulted my lawyer, he told me that it was pointless to even bother, maybe with a better PD and in a better city. Number 3, I was advised against trying to sue the police department. More specifically, my lawyer told me that I could sue if I wanted, but if he were me, he wouldn't do it. When I asked why, he said that usually if you can prove the unwarranted search were racially motivated and based on prejudice or corruption, you could possibly win. But the police screwing the pooch was generally a weak reason. Again, maybe against a better PD in a less backwards region. Number 4, my girlfriend talked because of previous bad experiences. I forgave my girlfriend for over-talking to the police. Many people in the original post were entirely pitchforks up and even suggesting that she called the police, and I understand why, to be honest. Some people went kind of over the line and suggested that she may have planted evidence, but some were explaining that there are people who simply freeze up with the police. Knowing her, I thought this must be the case. And I guess that's why they say you simply never talk to the police unless you have to with a lawyer. Don't ever incriminate yourself. Anyway, months after the incident, my girlfriend sat me down and let out that a police officer had molested her when she was in her teens during a routine traffic stop. He decided that she needed to be searched and used it as an excuse to feel her up. I was horrified. Before you ask, yes, I received her permission to post this detail, and honestly, and when you read this post, I love you so much. Number 5, we moved out of the city. We live in a larger city now, and coincidentally, my parents also had a reason to move here too. Her parents are originally from somewhere else in the country, but we are closer to them now. One last little happy note is that we are getting married next year, and we are both incredibly excited about starting our lives together. And wow, Ripe Stars, what a turn this story took. I'm happy for OP and the girlfriend that they are getting married. However, I gotta say, I'm still shocked by the conduct of that police department. Have you ever come across police officers like this? I always thought that you only see them on YouTube, but honestly, it seems to be a common occurrence, especially in smaller places in the US. Absolutely terrifying. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. The woman that lives 2 doors down from me is a Karen that seems to think my family is the perfect target for her nasty behavior. She is the type of person that thinks money is everything in the world and nothing else determines what makes a good person. This is my guess of why she is divorced, but I won't get into that right now. She is upper middle class, but acts like that means she is wealthy and some kind of celebrity. And by the way guys, obviously money is very important for Karens because they are already morally bankrupt. Keep that in mind. Anyway, on many occasions she has come up to us and told my husband and I that we don't belong in a neighborhood like this, that we are poor working class people and should go live in a slum like all the other poor people. She has tried on many different occasions to create problems for my family in hopes that we will just get fed up and move. All of them have been childish and brushed aside by us, none of them have come close to making us consider moving. She also hates us because we are Mexican and not white like a good percentage of the neighborhood. Only Karen seems to give a flying F about it though. The only thing that she does that bothers me is that she likes to tell her kids very loudly not to play with my daughter because she is supposedly not normal. Loud enough for my daughter to hear it. This was probably the main reason I went from finding Karen to be a slight annoyance to hating her. When you involve children, I find that to be fighting below the belt and way out of line. My daughter is 8 years old and mute. She had cancer in her throat as a toddler. Because of surgery, she cannot really talk. We use sign language, and even though she can hear, we tend to sign as well. She doesn't get treated any differently at home, but she is hitting that age where kids at school notice when people are different. I know she is a little self-conscious about being mute, and Karen loudly calling her not normal doesn't help anything. Still, she is a happy kid, and one day on a weekend we decided to take her to the community park to have some fun. What we didn't notice was Karen was also at the park recording us. My daughter was signing with Dad about wanting to go on the swings next, and that was when Karen screamed so loudly that she got the attention of the entire park. Karen, that dirty Mexican girl is throwing up gang signs. Everybody protect your children, she is clearly a danger to this neighborhood. Don't worry, because as an HOA member, I'm gonna call the police and make this playground safe. People were watching and listening to her, but not for the reasons that she thought. They all figured she was insane, claiming that an 8-year-old at the park was trying to incite gang violence. I didn't want to walk away because I was sick and tired of Karen by this point. I was not gonna hang around for whatever ended up playing out. She called the police and I couldn't believe what she was telling them on the phone. For a summary, she had told them about a bunch of Mexicans hanging around the park throwing gang signs and trying to recruit kids. Also claiming that we were members of the cartel selling drugs and trying to kidnap other kids. From that kind of call, you can be sure that the police had shown up within just a few minutes, and I'd never seen so many cops respond to a single call before in my life. Karen was fake crying and pointing my family out as being the dangerous ones and demanding that we be arrested. They were honestly confused because let me quickly paint the picture of what they were looking at. An 8-year-old girl, a 5-foot-tall mother, and a father wearing his Batman t-shirt and cargo shorts. Our family looked like a bunch of nerds and the least threatening people in the park. Still, Karen insisted we were part of the cartel and dangerous, so the police came over to talk to us. "Officer, we got a complaint that you are throwing around gang signs and selling drugs to children. Can you just help us clear this whole thing up? First of all, do you have any drugs or weapons on you? Husband, no, we have nothing on us. Our daughter is mute, so these gang signs are just sign language. I know Karen has a recording of it. You can look it over and see that we didn't use any gang signs. We don't even know any. We just came to play in the park. One of the 30 officers on the scene did know sign language and looked at the video to confirm that we were indeed just talking about going on the swings. They tell Karen and she doesn't like the fact that we seem to be getting away with just existing. She flat out demands that the police do their job and arrest all 3 of us for cartel activities. They explain that there is zero suspicion and they cannot just arrest us because Karen said so. She goes on a rant, an absolute tirade about how we don't belong in this country. Once again bringing up her HOA involvement and saying this is a nice white neighborhood and we are just ruining it by coming in here. Demanding they check if we are legal citizens and saying that the HOA funds pay for this park, so she decides who gets to be in it. She is not stopping or slowing down. I don't even know how she is getting air to keep going. Keep in mind, not all the officers are white and don't like hearing what is coming out of her mouth either. To end her rant, she grabs a large stone and throws it right at my head. She gets me right in the eye, and while there is no damage, it is enough for the cops to have an excuse to do something. They get her to the ground and put her in handcuffs for assault and battery. She is again saying that she is part of the HOA and she cannot be arrested because of that. That this is a white country and they should be arresting the Mexicans for ruining it. I press charges against her for the assault and battery, and I know I will win it because I have all these cops as my witnesses. All in all, she ends up going to jail for her charges, but it wasn't because of the assault. She was also charged with calling the police for a fake emergency, since all of them had to show up and could have been out dealing with actual threats to safety. Still, she might have gotten away with a lighter sentence if only she could keep her mouth shut. One more racist rant that had to be cut off by the judge was the final straw for her to get thrown into jail. I don't know or care what happened to her after that. I was just glad my daughter no longer had a bully that was 4 times her age. And well, Ripe Stars, I'm curious, if you would have been in this situation and encountered this Karen trying to mess with your child, what would you have done if you were in OP's shoes? And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripe Stories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.